So here we are inside of Reaper. Now, what you're seeing inside this program is somewhat similar to what you'll find in many audio recording applications. Even though there are several out there, they all have some similar traits. For example, this section right here is called the transport controls. And here's where you'll find the play, pause, record, and loop or repeat buttons. You can also rewind and go to the beginning of your project or the end of your project with that button. You also find your time indicator here. This gives you your actual time, and this is a representation of how many measures and beats you are at any given time. So if we go back to the beginning, you see we're at measure 1, beat number 1. And that's helpful for when you're recording music. Now you also see this kind of layout in many programs. This is a representation of the track mixer, and it's kind of similar to the old way of mixing where you might be using a tape recorder and then you would play that tape recorder back through an actual hardware mixer, an analog mixer. And so this gives you fader controls and some routing. This is a mute button, so we can mute this particular channel or solo this particular channel. And yeah, it also gives you this button here, record, arms the track for recording, which makes it able to record. You can also set the input here. And if you pull this up here, you can also put in plugins or effects on these tracks, and that's where they would lie here. Very similar to if you're using a hardware mixer back in the old days, and you would use a physical reverb, for example. You would insert that into a particular track or into a particular subgroup and send instruments to it. Now, this section up here is where we have the actual recorded sound sources. So you can see here, let me get rid of this mixer panel. And so here you can see what multi-track recording is all about. Each one of these tracks or lanes is a separate instrument. And you can see that if I solo this, you will hear on this channel, it's a Rhodes keyboard. If I solo this channel, it is a pad or a synth kind of sound. This is a high guitar part, which I just named. This is the bass guitar. This is a rhythm guitar. Here's another rhythm guitar and another rhythm guitar. And then down here we have what's called a track folder or a subgroup. Some other applications may refer to it as a subgroup. This is the drums. Now we have individual drum tracks in here. So this one right here is the kick drum. And you can see here, those are the actual waves from the kick drum recording. You scroll down, we can take a look at, this is the snare drum. Actually, snare drum has reverb on it. So that's exactly what the microphone would be hearing. And then you have a hi-hat and toms and some overhead microphones, which get a general mix of the entire drum kit. And so with this kind of setup, you have a lot of power and flexibility. For example, if I was recording an entire band, I could theoretically plug in each instrument into an audio interface and record the entire band's performance with all of the instruments on a separate track, just like this. I mean, imagine if this were the drummer right here. These were two separate guitar players and a third guitar player right here, and maybe this guy's the bass player. Scroll that up. Here's another guitar player who has some cool stereo effects that he's playing. Here's a keyboard player, and here's another keyboard player. And we could have vocals and on and on. The number of tracks that you can play back in a system like this is only limited to the processing power of your computer. Now, my particular computer can run more tracks than you'd ever need to. I've done projects where I've recorded somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 60 different vocal tracks, doing a lot of vocal percussion and things of that nature. It also gives you the ability to adjust the volume of each track, not only globally, by moving this fader here, or this volume fader. So we could make this quieter. We can make it louder. But the other thing you can do in these applications is do something called track automation. And that means that you can adjust the volume over time. So as this plays, I can put in a keyframe here and then put another one here. So now you can see this is the volume, what they call an envelope. So basically, the volume will follow whatever this line does. And that is a very, very powerful tool for when you are mixing all of these instruments together. It gives you the ability to really, really finesse the various volumes of different instruments. If you have a singer who sings a particular passage quieter, you can boost that whole passage up. So you can not only automate the volume of a track, you can also, in modern applications, automate nearly every parameter that has any adjustment whatsoever. This button here brings up all of the automation properties for this particular track. So we can automate the volume, the pan, the volume pre-effects, the mute. We can also automate where this track is going. So right now, this bass is being sent out to a separate channel, which is adding some more kind of subharmonic frequencies. And we can automate that by clicking here. We can also automate the send to the sub, pan, and mute. And also we can automate all of the effects that are on this channel. So I have an EQ on here, which is giving it a little bit of a curve. And I also have a compressor here, which is kind of just regulating a little bit of the dynamics of this bass guitar. And in here, I can automate all of those parameters, and it can get very complex, but that just shows you some of the power that's available in these audio applications. Now, like we said before, this is a multi-track recording and editing application. But that doesn't mean that you have to record more than one track at the same time, or even play back one of the more than one track at the same time. For instance, you could imagine that this might be a recording of an entire band, where we have the drummer, the guitar players, the bass guy, and maybe 2 keyboard players. When in actuality, I was the one who recorded all of these instruments. I recorded each track individually. So I would set up a track to record, arm it for recording, go back to the beginning here, and I usually set up a metronome in here so I can hear where the beats are. And then I would record. So I'd lay down my guitar and so on and so forth. And that really is one of the most powerful aspects of this program is you can basically go back and record over and over and over again until you get it right. Or you can take multiple sources from pre-recorded things and mix them together to get all kinds of new results. The possibilities are literally endless.